pickup. David Hostler realized, 2012 is when we first developed it, and in 2014 is when it went into a guitar. He realized that the pressure on the back of the pickup would be easier and more mellow than pressure on top of it.
Uno de nuestros técnicos en el 2002 empezó a investigar sobre cómo hacer obviamente un sistema de micrófono mucho más dinámico. Y una de las cosas que empezó a trabajar fue que pensaba que si ponía el micrófono, como muchas compañías lo ponen, la mayoría, ahogaba un poco el sonido, y por eso fue que empezó a investigar cómo era ponerlo si se acercaba en vez de presionarlo.
So pickups, as we know them normally with the saddle on top of it, is pushing down on the pickup and putting about 60 to 80 pounds of pressure down onto the top of the pickup.
El pickup puesto ahí en ese huesito tiene 80 libras de presión.
The difference is this: when you put that much pressure on the crystals, that's when that sound becomes very mid-range. That's when have you ever heard of the acoustic guitar quack? That sound when you no matter how hard you hit it, it doesn't really sound natural. It's more of a just a mid-range quack. That's from that pressure being down on the pickup.
El sonido normal cuando estás conectando una guitarra es que suena como muy, que se llama como quack, que es obviamente como solamente como medios y altos, y eso es lo que crea cuando está el micrófono puesto con esa presión.
So instead of having the pickup underneath the saddle, where the strings are putting all of that pressure down on it, we now have ours on the back.
En vez de ponerlo abajo, lo que hicimos fue ponerlo atrásito.
So, does everybody hear this?
¿Todo el mundo escucha?
Okay.
Todas las cuerdas, ¿eh?
The amount of pressure that's on this pickup is in what we call ounces of pressure now, not pounds. From doing that, we get a more natural tone. The crystals aren't getting crushed, which is why you like your pickup now. It makes a big difference in how the guitar sounds. But one of the greatest things is for guys in the service world like myself, or you as the customer, when you change your strings.
Cuando cambia sus cuerdas, esa es la gran ventaja de tener este sistema.
When you change the strings on a pickup that's under the saddle, when you put the strings back on, you have to be very careful about how the pressure sits on the pickup, or your strings will be out of balance.
Tienen que tener mucho cuidado a la hora de cambiar sus cuerdas, porque obviamente, como estás poniendo la presión, si la presión queda desbalanceada, algunas cuerdas no se van a escuchar.
Or, being here where it's so humid, you get a guitar that was straight from the factory and it sounded great, and then 7 months later, the two E strings don't really make much sound because everything is curved.
Cuando vienen a lugares tan húmedos como Costa Rica, obviamente la madera se curvea, entonces ya no se escuchan bien las primeras cuerdas de los lados porque se está alejando la presión.
But with ours, because it's on the back of the saddle, changing your strings, it doesn't matter. It's not part of it's not part of changing the strings anymore.
Para nosotros no es ningún problema ahora cambiar cuerdas.
This pickup here
Escuchen el pickup.
never has to be adjusted again.
Nunca más se tiene que ajustar.
It's working now. You will never do what I'm going to do to this pickup. There's no reason to.
Nunca van a tener que hacer lo que él va a hacer en este instante con este pickup.
Okay? So, you hear the pickup now.
¿Lo oyen? Ahora oigan. Miren lo que está haciendo. Ya. Alejamos los cristales de las cuerdas.
3 crystals, 1, 2, 3. When I turn this, it puts the crystals back inside the pickup, back inside the case.
Cuando él la aprieta, obviamente se acerca.
When I tighten it, this comes down and pushes the pickup out to put pressure onto the saddle. What this allows me to do is get the closest string-to-string balance that you can get.
Lo que logra con eso es encontrar obviamente el mejor balance entre cuerda y cuerda.
Not only that, you can adjust it for how you play.
También lo puedes ajustar a cómo tocas.
Maybe you really hit the treble strings a lot and they're always the loudest ones. You can turn down the trebles just slightly to balance out to your bass strings.
Imagínate hacer eso en una acústica, entonces si tú estás tocando, si tú estás tocando las cuerdas de abajo,
Yeah.
puedes alejar un poquito el micrófono y así balanceas la guitarra.
So you can push and pull how much pressure is on the back of the saddle, determining how you play. Now be careful, it's not a volume control. And I'm going to demonstrate that,
No es una
okay?
cosa de volumen.
The volume control is right here. Okay, this is where your volume control is. This activates the pickup and puts pressure on it, and you hear little swings in the sound, okay? So I'll demonstrate that. So that's on now. You can turn it down a little bit or off.
Puedes prenderlo o apagarlo, si te lo acerca.
So now listen how balanced this is.
Miren lo balanceado que está.
And I didn't have to do anything really to it difficult at all. This was very simple. Okay, so now this pickup never needs to be touched again.
Ya nunca más tienen que tocarlo, siempre va a estar balanceado.
When you change your strings, it's no problem. The saddle will stay in the guitar. It will never fall out because it has the pickup pushing against the back of the saddle, holding it in place. And for me as a service person, I'm just like,
Miren los botones.
3 knobs.
Hay 3 botoncitos.
Volume, bass, and treble. Okay? We also have active electronics. Okay? Which means there's a battery. What guitars do we normally play that are not active? Like a Les Paul, a Stratocaster. Okay. So what do we all have to do to the tone controls?
¿Qué tenemos que hacer con el tono?
We turn them all the way to 10. Okay? Because they're passive. So that's 0 on our guitar. Because active is negative to 0, 0 to plus. Okay? So, what you never want to do with our guitar is this. Okay, did you hear that sound?
Lo que nunca deberías hacer con nuestras guitarras es eso.
I'm over EQing. You hear the feedback coming? I've added too much EQ.
Fue por añadir demasiado EQ.
Okay?
Ese sonido.
You want a little bit, maybe a little bit of bass, a little bit of treble, maybe back a little bit of treble off, a little bit of bass, and you will get the most natural tone from the guitar.
Claro, es importante saber eso, que ya como son activos, o sea, realmente no hay que hacerlo tan exagerado. Solamente poniendo un poco, ya empiezas a notarlo.
The amplifier is set perfectly flat.
El amplificador está flat en este instante, es un Fishman flat.
My EQ is set perfectly flat.
El EQ está flat.
Okay? If I boost too much,
Es demasiado. Distorsiona, claro, es que no aguanta.
I get a service phone call. There's something wrong with my guitar.
Sí,
And we say, turn it down.
solamente bajen.
Okay? Very important. It's very